welcome back to the Haddonfield Horrors podcast, where we review horror movies and horror franchises. I'm Mark.
I'm Maria.
I'm Rudy.
And today we are back doing Jason after a little couple week break. But we're back with Jason X, aka Jason number 10. Directed by James Isaac and written by Todd Farmer. It came out in 2001. But before we get into Jason X and all of its futuristic glory, Maria, can you give the people this very long plot summary?
Finally captured in the year 2008, Jason Voorhees is held inside a government research facility whose scientists try to answer the question that keeps eluding them. Why one of the most infamous mass murderers in history cannot die. Once Rowan, leader of the research project, prepares a specimen for cryogenic suspension, a greedy scientist goes over her head and comes to remove Jason, only to have the mad slasher break free and slaughter him and his entire entourage. Tricking Jason into following her, Rowan eludes him into entering the cryogenic freezer and begins the process, but a breach in the system causes her to freeze with him. The government tries to deny any evidence of the project, and nearly 4 centuries pass, during which the Earth gradually becomes less and less habitable, and humans have moved to a planet in another star system that they've named Earth-2. A team of young students descends into the ruined Earth, where they find the frozen bodies of Jason and Rowan in the forgotten research facility and take back on board their ship with them. Rowan, now thawed and revived, but the team mistakes Jason to be dead, not understanding his abilities or motives. Before long, Jason awakens to the sound of young people having premarital sex once again, and the carnage erupts once again as the ship proceeds to Earth-2. The remaining survivors fight for their lives as the centuries-old mad slasher proves he is just as evil and just as indestructible during the time as he was centuries before.
So that was a lot, Jason.
It was a lot for the movie. I was like, what is this?
The way it starts off, it's like, okay, so they capture Jason, but like, when did they capture Jason? How did they capture Jason? Because like the last time we see Jason, it's in Final Friday and he was dragged to hell. But Freddy versus Jason is set in between Final Friday and Jason X. So wherever Jason left off at Freddy versus Jason is when he's captured. But like, it's so confusing and so stupid. And Rudy, what are your thoughts about the movie overall?
I saw it yesterday because I had to refresh my memory on it, and it was actually pretty cool. I forgot a lot about it, but when I watched it, I'm like, oh, okay. I remember when I saw it as a kid, it was like super slow, and I was just waiting for the new Jason look, but he didn't even come up to like towards the end. Anyway, like overall, the movie was pretty good. I understand why it was like hyped up when it first got released. Obviously, it isn't the best sequel in the franchise, but it's not terrible if you actually like focus on like the backstory. Like they were trying to take it to like the future. So like like the whole robot lady, whatever her name is, K-19, and just the fact that they can like heal each other, how they healed Rowan, in the beginning. It all kind of made sense when I watched it yesterday, and it was pretty good. I liked it. It was a little rushed though.
Maria, what about you?
I it was so corny. It was such a corny movie when because I saw it yesterday for the first time, and I was like, it was, I don't know. I thought it definitely felt like a really bad like 80s 90s movie, like a very like low budget porn movie that never got the rights to be an actual porn movie. it was so dumb. I don't know. And it was so corny. Like I just there was some scenes that I'm like, there's no way that they let this pass. Like there's just no way. And like I think her name was KM14. Like she was definitely spewing out some very like especially towards the end when she's fighting Jason. I'm like, what the like I just can't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that
can't.
that dialogue was corny as fuck. Like the way that she just kept saying some stupid line after any little move she did. I'm like, Jesus,
Yeah,
bro. I don't know. She was just
yeah.
like maybe she was just like a horrible actress because that shit had me dying. Like, what did she say? You guys might want to run. Stuff like that. Like, girl, shut up and do your thing.
The whole K9 thing and the guy was very weird.
It was weird. That's also what threw me off because she was like survivor rate went up 53%. He was like, you want to go for 100? It's like a really bad porno movie. I swear to God. Like I was like, what is and like
Mhm.
the whole plot just felt like just so off. Everything I don't know. Everything about this movie was just funny and stupid and just really cringy.
Yeah, it was given like you're her creator and you're like trying to like fuck her is what I was getting. Like
Yeah.
it was very weird and I don't know. This movie just didn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie.
No, 100% no.
Like
Like
the only time I felt that way was at that weird like fake scene where when he thought he was back in Camp Crystal Lake. That's the only time it felt like a
th-
real Friday the 13th movie.
that scene. Well, I'll explain
You
it
want to smoke
later
some
on.
pot? Like I was like, what? You want to smoke some pot? I was like, what the
So
fuck
they're
is
like, "Do you want to smoke some pot and have some premarital sex?" Oh,
like
I was
what the hell?
done.
and he's just staring at them like, "What?" Oh
Well, I
god.
don't know if you guys are gonna be able to struggle with this or not, but Maria, what are some of your favorite kills or standout kills or just whatever about the kills?
Kills. Um. So the one I'm gonna say the ones that stand out because I did not like this movie, but when he's beating up those fake campers, because it cuts from him being there and them trying to entice him, and then it cuts to I think the guy I forgot what his name was, and then it cuts back to him to Jason, and he's literally beating up the campers with each other, like he's just hitting like the bag with the other. That part was so funny because it's like what the fuck it was just so comical. um I guess his own kill scene when KM14 basically like blows him up, that scene was it was stupid because it's like Jason has been blown up multiple times, but whatever. But also I guess the scene where you first encounter KM after whatever upload her creator gave her. Um and she's like I'm ready like to know like to kill you or whatever, and he just throws a knife at her. And like I know she didn't die, but that scene was so stupid. I was like, what the fuck? Also I think the first kill he did, well, no, not the first one, but the one that he did after he came back, with that girl in the blue shirt. I forgot what her name was, where he like dunked her head in that like liquid that froze her face, and then he slammed her head, and then her face just broke off. I thought that was pretty good. It was pretty gruesome. Um, yeah, I think that's it. What are your favorite or standout kill scenes?
My standout kill scene to me is the introduction. So when he escapes, basically, that was like a classic Friday the 13th kill because it almost reminded me of like the Halloween kills scene where like Michael escapes the fire and he's like going at it with all of the firefighters. Similar, but only with these guys. And like I was so ready for him to kill that fucking old man who was running like a pussy. until he finally threw his machete at him and it just like stuck him. That was my favorite scene. Um, Another because I feel like all the others were like super short. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
noticed it, but like it was like one, two, three, he kills, and the next scene. Versus like comparing it to like the previous movies, you actually get to see like the blood and the detail and all that. But here, I feel like everything was so fast paced that I'm like, ugh, it wasn't as great with the
I
kills.
feel like, yeah, I feel like a lot of the kills were like extremely cliche. Like they're just kills that I've seen
Yeah.
before. Like nothing felt original about the movie.
Oh well, actually, that one blonde girl that he like freezes her head and then he just like slams her and it just
Oh
shatters.
yeah.
That was a really good one. That was a stand up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that was it. Like everything else, I feel like I've seen in other movies and I see them do it better. You know, like yeah, like I feel like in this movie there wasn't really a lot of blood.
They pretty much just played all of Jason's greatest hits, but they didn't do it justice.
Yeah.
I mean, well, like the VR kill was kind of interesting, where he thought he killed the two players, but then you realize like, oh, they're playing the game. He didn't kill them. He just killed their avatars, and he like looked confused. That was kind of interesting, but like even Jason's quote unquote death scene was lame. Like that whole like power suit, like being outside and crashing Jason, that was dumb.
Hmm.
But speaking of dumb, I want to move to the scenes, the good, the bad, the indifferent, because I have one scene that I always thought was stupid, and every time I rewatch this movie, it infuriates me. It's when the space station, when the spaceship destroys the space station, because why is the spaceship projected to look like it's so much bigger than the space station? Like, there is no way that spaceship should have destroyed that space station like that. That's not how that works. How the fuck is that? If it's so much bigger than the space station, how the fuck was it supposed to dock at that space station?
Hmm.
Like, did no one see this and was like, "Oh no, this isn't right"? But what about you, Rudy? What are some scenes that are good, bad, or indifferent?
So any scene with that K-19 bitch was like super cringy to me. I mean, I love the idea of a robot taking over, and she was like super smart, and she actually was like doing what she could to defeat Jason. But her dialogue, I think it could have been without it. It could have been way better without her dialogue because it just made it super cheesy and corny. Like, and just her acting on top of that, like, ugh, shut up. Like, I just couldn't wait for her to get killed off. Um, I don't think it happened right. I forgot. No, she didn't die, right? Because she stayed with this girl at the end.
Yeah, I think was it just her head that they had at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end? Something stupid.
yeah, exactly. But that was basically what I didn't like about the entire movie. But standouts. Wait, that was your question, right? Standouts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that was the least favorite or whatever. My favorite scene. I would have to say I like the idea of healing the body parts, like when Rowan got healed and she was like 100% back to alive or whatever. I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm like, damn, I wonder if we could ever do that, like with technology advancing every other fucking day. Like, are we able to heal like certain things and bring back the dead?
With nanobots?
Is that what it was? Like the little microscopic things that were going on her body?
Yep.
Yes, that would be so dope. So that was like a super interesting scene. I enjoyed it. And that's pretty much all right. And then also any scene with Jason's upgraded look, I loved it. I love the costume. I remember having that mask as a kid when it first came out, and I lost it.
I always wanted that costume. My mom vetoed it.
No, no.
What about you, Maria? Good, bad, indifferent, cool.
Well, I liked the kill with that girl with the blue shirt. That would feel like that was a really creative kill out of the whole movie. Um, I disliked, yeah, also the scenes with KM14. She was like, I just don't know what the fuck they were trying to do with that android. Like, what was the whole point? like I don't know, whatever. But so this scene stood out for me because I was like, what the fuck is going on? But the scene where which Janessa and the professor have sex, and like she comes in with like a wine and some tweezers, some big ass tweezers, first of all, and she's like in this like dominatrix uniform leather thing going on, and she's like on top of him twisting his nipple, and I was like, and he's like, I don't even know what the fuck he said, but I was like, what the fuck is this scene? Um, do you guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I didn't like it.
it
I
was
was,
implying, that she was just trying to like get a pass her midterm test or whatever the fuck it was.
yeah. And
But
at the end, he was like, "You pass."
yeah, like it was
Is this
annoying.
like isn't this like the second movie where a teacher was trying what almost fucked his student or something like that? This is weird. It's like a weird habit with these fucking movies.
I
Hmm.
guess whatever to get in to pass, But I don't know. That scene was so funny to me.
Yeah,
It was
just
like,
random.
um, and I did like. So I okay. The thing is, with Jason's new look, I would have liked it if like he would have had that look throughout the whole movie, and if this was like a standalone movie and not like part of the franchise. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like that look was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great. It was just like for a Jason movie, I was like, okay.
So basically, like a
Especially
remake with that mask.
yeah. Um yeah, he looked different, but it looks cool. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, it
But
was.
I was just like it just putting it together with like the rest of the Jason, franchise, or the Friday the 13th franchise. It just I don't know. It didn't give what it was supposed to, I guess. Um
It
Yeah.
didn't give what it thought it was. It was giving
yeah.
everyone. Mm-mm.
Yeah, like they were just trying too hard in this movie. It's like they were trying really hard to be different, but then kept a lot of the same things, like a lot of cliches, and it just and then okay, and then I'm sorry, but like the clothes everybody was wearing, I just could not get past that. Because how are you 400 years later, but you dress like you're in the 90s? Like,
Hmm.
It was the
you know,
Star Trek. It was the Star Trek Next Generation look.
I don't know, I cannot.
That was
It
not
was
cute at
bad.
all.
I'm still like stuck that like people saw Leprechaun in space and then was like, oh, we should put Jason there because that works so well with Leprechaun and with Pinhead.
Hmm. I think about it.
Horrible. Well, I guess we could talk about the characters. We could talk about Elijah, aka what was his name? Sergeant Elijah Brodsky. Is that how it's said?
Yeah,
Brodsky?
yeah, Brodsky.
Brodsky. What do you think about him, Rudy?
I loved him. I think he was attractive too. Like he had that look.
You thought he was attractive?
Oh yeah, he like looks strong as shit. Like he can pick me up and throw me anytime. And I like his attitude. Like he was very by the well, I want to say by the book, but like he looked stern, and throughout the scenes, I don't even think I've ever seen him like joke and laugh in the movie, honestly, because he was just so serious. So that made him even hotter. And I like the fact that he was basically putting his life in jeopardy at the end when the final showdown against Jason or whatever. I thought that was sweet of him. Like he was gonna save the rest just to get rid of Jason.
Fuck that. Why are you sacrificing yourself for these white people?
That is true. And now that you put it that way, but you know what I mean. Like I think he was a sweetheart at the end. It shows that he wasn't just like all about business.
What about you, Maria?
um, I mean, he was cute, but he also didn't really stand out to me throughout the whole movie, to be honest. Like I kind of kept forgetting, like I don't know, he just didn't stand out to me. I did like his demeanor. I think maybe this is why he didn't stand out to me because he was very like reserved and very like you know not reserved, but he was very much by the book. Um, And yeah, like that ending when he was trying to help. He helped for like 3 seconds and then Jason cut him down. And then like KM14 was like, "Thanks for the help, but I don't need it." And he was just like, "Okay." And they had this really weird, corny dialogue in those. I don't know. It was weird. No, but he was, yeah, he was hot. I think he was like the only like attractive person there.
I don't see it, so we're gonna move on. Let's talk about Tsarin. Think that's how they're showing it, but he's the guy who created KM14. What do you think about him, Maria?
I don't even know. He gives me like weird vibes. Like he was. I feel like he was kind of creepy. He was smart, but he was like a creep. And which is funny because I feel like that's not what they were trying to do with his character, but like they were just giving him a lot of these um intense sexual lustful moments with the android that he created, which you know what, who am I to judge? But like, first of all, like in the beginning he was like rejecting her because he was like, well, I like Janessa, or I think he said Janessa, where he was like, I like Janessa, and plus she's an actual person. Like, sir, and then just for him to sleep with her later on, like, come on, no. And then he was just like, I can see why KM14 had such cringy lines because his lines were also just as cringy, if not they were worse, especially coming from him. Because KM14 could have gotten away with it because she was fine too, but like he could not because he looked just no, no.
Rudy.
He just was like this, like, you know how every movie, every horror movie at that has to have like this geeky guy who thinks he knows it all. That's who he is. Even though he didn't really bug me, I think he was funny or whatever some scenes, but I don't think he was anything special. Like Maria said, like he was just there, and the only reason why he had a lot of screen time was because he was the one who made K19 girl. I'm gonna just keep calling her that because her shit's so fucking confusing. Um, there was this one scene. I think that's the one that Maria was mentioning. Like, okay, so did he have a crush on the other girl or what? Because then he went from that to like falling in love with K19 all of a sudden.
I think I remember him saying that he did, like he did like her, because I think him and KM14 were like having a moment, and he
Hmm.
was like, "No, I can't, cause Janessa," and I was like, first of
Yeah,
all, Janessa does not know who you are.
right. But I actually like that they incorporated that scene with him falling for that robot he made because they that movie paved the way. Nowadays, now guys are fucking robots and like all these crazy things that sex stores have, you know. So it was like it was what is that term I'm trying to use? Taboo back in those days. But now, I mean, you see people with like these electric things that like make girls have like orgasm. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
like it evolved. So it's not that much of a big deal now that I watched it yesterday again. I'm like, oh, okay. I've already heard many people be into that dolls and blow up dolls and shit like that. So, but I think that was cool. It definitely opened the doors up for a lot of curious cats out there.
What about Janessa?
What about that hoe?
I didn't like how she died when she was just like when she got sucked through the hole. And she's like, "This really sucks." I was like,
Yeah, that was cringy. Um, I mean, I like her better than the other stupid bitch that locked them out. What was her name? Kenza?
I'm glad she died.
I couldn't stand that crybaby ass hoe. But
So,
yeah,
And wasn't it basically her fault the ship was going down?
yeah,
yep,
she's
it definitely was.
that shit blew me. But yeah, Janessa, I don't think she was. I was actually surprised we added her to the list because she wasn't special. I mean, she was one of the last survivors, but I'm like,
She wasn't. It's just because you brought her up. I decided to.
I'm dead. Wait, we are talking about Janessa though, right?
Yeah, why
Yeah, yeah.
not?
Um, yeah, I don't really have much to say about her. She was just like a lot of these actresses in the movie were just like temporary, and they were focused more so on like Rowan and KM and Brodsky. You know, like the main ones that survived. Basically, everyone else was just like fillers to me. They just like were added to the movie to add kills. That's pretty much what it was.
Well, let's talk about KM14, Maria.
I mean, I just, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of her scenes and a lot of her lines were just so corny and so cringy. Like, if they were trying to establish the fact that she was an android, but she was technically real, then why was she talking like that? you know? Like she had such a robotic voice, which I feel like in the beginning her voice was very, very, very robotic. But then as the movie like progressed, it like changes, and she's not as robotic as she was, which I don't know how I feel about that. I also don't know how I feel about the fact that after she sleeps with that man, and she comes to save them, she did a whole wardrobe change. Like how does that happen? Like did she fucking change?
Well, he
Did
did
they?
say, sorry to cut you off, but I think he did state, "Oh, I gave her an upgrade or something like that." So I'm assuming after they had sex or whatever, he decided to change her up to give her like a more, I don't know.
But
That's
people were dying.
I know, right? Like
Yeah.
they didn't give no fuck. He was just a horn dog anyway. So like I feel like he was just risking it all for this hoe since he never.
Yeah. She came out looking great, but like it was just I don't know. I I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that scene. I just feel like it was so like what the fuck. And then when she comes out all badass with this new fucking thing she had going on, which also like did he have that on fucking hand to put that on her? Well, whatever, I guess. But like with Jason just she's having her moment and everybody's like, "Oh my god, you guys are here to save us." And then it just cuts off cuz Jason just throws his sword or his machete at her and she's just like, "Oh my god." And everybody's like, "Oh." And I think Janessa was like, "Or not," or like, I guess we're not going to be saved." And then KM was just like pretending, and that just like ruined my whole image of her in that moment. Because in that moment, I was like, oh my god, yeah, like KM's gonna kick his ass, and then she did that, and I was like, huh, I guess. Um, and also like I know that KM is an android, so she can definitely take Jason, but all she had was guns technically, and they already know that guns don't work on Jason. Like they've been shooting him throughout the whole movie, and they've never worked. So why would you give her guns? But I don't know.
It actually did work when they shredded him to pieces. The only thing is that they fucked up by letting him stay there, which is when he got upgraded. You get me? Like I feel like he would have
Yeah,
died if he was on the floor without nothing actually like reproducing him to a better version or whatever you want to call it. So the gun kind of worked again if they shredded him like they did the first time, but they weren't smart.
yeah. Honestly, what they should have done is they should have like pushed him out, like shredded him and then thrown all his shit outside. I don't know.
Seriously, let him float in space or something.
Yeah, like, I feel like he can't regenerate in space. It's not the same thing. Or I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. What do I know?
No, but
Um,
it makes sense though. Like you would think
right?
they would like try to get rid of him since they were so scared the first time, especially Rowan, especially
Yeah,
knowing that he was unfrozen after he got found with her. She should have been the one who would have said, "Hey, I want you to get rid of his body, even though he's already shredded." But no,
yeah. Like the whole point why they had him in that facility was because he fucking um
lost.
regenerates. Yeah, like he just like comes alive like really easily. Like you wouldn't think. I mean, they blown him up before, so if it didn't work then, why would it
Yeah,
work
but
now?
they don't know that.
That's dumb. But whatever. Anyway, either way, I don't know. I mean, KM14. I feel like her character concept was very interesting, and I would have loved to see an actual. I would have loved to have seen an actual fight with her and Jason, but then they decided to give us this whole, you know, porno slash,
Mm.
slash corny
It was the
cringiness.
early 2000s. You have to.
Yeah, you could tell.
But Rudy, what are your thoughts on Rowan?
Rowan's a baddie. First of all, I want to say that she looks the same as the Chucky series. I hope y'all know that's her, by the way. Well,
Yeah,
from season one. She's pretty, in my opinion. And actually, she was the strongest character. I liked her acting more than anyone else in the movie because she actually tried her best. I wouldn't say she's like 100% the best actress, but in this movie particularly, she did an amazing job with her acting skills. She won me over, shit. Especially in the beginning when after they had shot up Jason or whatever and he escaped and then like the entire scene right there, the sequence was like super bomb. I loved it. Her character in general should have been more like a final girl, but she wasn't giving final girl. She was just like a survivor. She should have been like the one fighting Jason as well, not just the you know, 19 girl.
Yeah.
But I get it though. She had more strength than Rowan, so that's why they used her to do the fighting. But you know what I mean? Like I wanted a scene so bad with her and Jason, like a chase scene or something, which we don't even see anymore nowadays in movies. Like a really good suspenseful ass chase scene between Rowan and Jason. We never got it. And I don't even think it would have happened because it's in the space, in the ship, I mean, or whatever. So.
Yeah, I feel like her character was so like underutilized
Mm-hmm.
because if like the only reason they brought her back was to like fill in gaps about Jason, but
Yeah.
like that was it. Like yeah, like, I also thought she was gonna be a final girl. I thought she was gonna do something too, even if she helps KM, because she was strong.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Like for sometimes I forgot she was there.
Exactly. She was just like, I mean, yeah, she was guiding the people because she knew Jason's backstory, but I wanted to see more of her as well.
Maria, what are your thoughts on the Uber Jason? That's what he's
Um,
officially called.
I mean, it was cool. Like the whole costume change was cool. Um, it was. I just feel like if they would have had more of the the new Jason, it would have been like really cool. Instead of bringing him like all the way at the end and then having him on screen for like 5 minutes. I feel like I would have liked the movie a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the movie's just so different from like the whole franchise. I feel like the concept and the idea was really different, and they should have changed his whole look from the beginning, and kind of in a way made it a standalone, but not really. And I think that would have it would have changed my perspective on the movie a little bit. Or maybe just like a little bit though. But otherwise, I feel like the look was good though. I just wish I would have seen more of it.
Yeah, like I feel like the new look would have also like attracted more viewers as well because we're all used to the classic Jason. And I remember the marketing was so good when it came out. I was a kid, but I remember it. And people were pissed because they actually were hoping to see that Jason throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
He only came out like towards the end, so everyone was like, "What the fuck? Like that's not really." It was crazy. I remember it, but I agree with you. They should have made like a standalone on this Jason so that people can enjoy, his techniques because he was super powerful.
Yeah.
He had a lot of strength, so he was actually able. If they had made him like this for the whole movie, he would have had some good ass kill scenes with his strength.
Yeah, I feel like if they would have made him like this throughout the whole movie, they could have gotten away with a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of different, like a lot of different and more creative kills.
Yeah, I agree.
We've come to the end, but we're not quite there yet. Maria, do you cast your pass?
I'm gonna pass. This movie was just honestly, I just it would have been it was like the beginning of a great porno that ended very badly. So I will pass.
Rudy, cast your pass.
I will cash this movie because even though I'm disappointed with like the outcome and how the Uber Jason came out towards the end, it had some good, it had some fun scenes, something different. Like I said, the whole technology thing aspect of it, healing the guy with the broken arm, or even Rowan in the beginning. I felt like that was much needed for the entire movie to make sense. Anyway, because imagine if had they just brought up Jason, the Uber Jason, with no backstory. So now we know why he was Uber Jason. So yeah, that's why I cashed this movie, because I feel like it's not the greatest, but it's something that people should watch when they're just bored and they want time to fly and have a good time, just to laugh
It's
at
a
it.
movie to put on background when you're having sex. It's a sex movie.
Yeah, I see that.
But I'm also pass. Because I fucking hate this movie. Why is Jason in space? Like, what's happening? Why we have holodecks? And Tawan, who couldn't make it tonight because he's sick, said even though he likes this movie, it's also a pass. So there we have it, folks. We're actually done with our run through of the Jason movies because next week we're doing the remake. The fucking remake.
It was cool.
Yay! Goodbye. The Haddonfield Horrors Podcast is a Letters to Media production.
Should we do an intro?